tweet that link out since we're starting earlier for the first time all week.
That's right. Whew.
All right. Let me wait till this pops up. By the way, Bad Santa was on last night.
Okay.
The best Christmas movie ever made.
I saw that.
I voiced my opinion on Twitter as well, but
I saw that.
Just phenomenal.
Phenomenal. I know we're starting early because we got 13 games, and I don't want to derail this. How egregious is it that I've never seen Bad Santa?
Oh,
what? I know, and I love movies. I never saw that.
Man, are you serious?
Yeah. Do I need to make it a priority? Move it up the list?
Yeah, you need to make it a priority. It is phenomenal. Yeah. Someone it was Dean said the best Christmas movie ever made was Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, get the hell out of here, guy. What are you doing? I like Dean quite a bit. Dean, I like you, but that's a bad take. I think Twitter notified him of that, but come on now. Eyes Wide Shut. I don't even know if I'd classify it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. What about Jingle All the Way?
Jingle All the Way.
I love that movie.
See, yeah, that Elf is a really, I still love Elf.
That's solid.
A Christmas Story, obviously, is an all-time classic. And then Home Alone. So I have a lot of them up there, but at this age, Bad Santa is definitely my number one. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, I've got to interject quickly, guys, because we're talking Christmas movies. New one to put on the list: The Night Before.
What the hell is that?
Seth Rogen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I was thinking about The Night After on the HBO miniseries.
That's what I was thinking.
No, The Night
Before. Where the kid turns into a crackhead.
Yeah, that's
not very
Christmas.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
You got to watch it. It's fantastic. Very easy watch.
Well, after I win the Millie today, I will go out and get Bad Santa and The Night of and watch them back to back and report back for next week.
Nope. The Night of is about a murder. That's on HBO. The Night Before is a comedy with Seth Rogen.
Okay. Now we're getting to cutting through the red tape.
All right. Is it The Night After or is it I guess Night of Night? I can't remember. One of them's on HBO. And actually the guy, oh man, who's the guy from The Sopranos? What's his name in real life that died?
James Gandolfini.
James Gandolfini. Yeah, Gandolfini was the mind behind The Night of on HBO, but he died early, and they still made it anyway. Anyway, I think we've waited long enough here. We got an extra 10 minutes to work with today, Ben. I'm not sure how much that's going to do for us. We've got 13 games, but as always, we're going to do the absolute best we can to get through all of this. So let's what do you say? Let's just jump into it, eh?
Let's do it.
All right, rock and roll, guy. Okay, let's start with a brilliant game in the cold north New York Stadium, Buffalo hosting the New York Jets. This one should be a whole lot of fun. No, it's going to be terrible. The total on this game is 37. It's 3.5 points lower than the next closest game. It's funny too because Houston or Tennessee and Jacksonville was at 37.5, and Tennessee scored 30 plus on their own. So you never know what's going to happen. Actually, Ben, last time these two teams faced each other.
Yeah.
Where we had, I believe it was some Jets defense. It was in New York. That ended up with the Buffalo Bills and LaShawn McCoy trampling them to the tune of a 41-10 game. So who the hell knows what's going to happen, man? McCoy had really I'm not joking when I say this, his only good game of the year in this matchup.
Yeah, that was with Matt Barkley of all people.
Yes, that's right.
And that was one of my I can't believe I say multiple -4 for my defense weeks. So yeah, this is going to be interesting because the Bills are somewhat relevant, and that's due to Josh Allen in the fantasy world. He's been putting up super performances, but at the same time, and we all know I love Josh Allen, the floor is as low as you can get with this guy. Like, yeah, if he's running for $130, it's going to be a good time, but I don't know if that's a given each and every week. So for me, obviously it's a bad game. I'm going to roll the dice with Shady. I think if people go to Buffalo, they're going to use Josh Allen and maybe try to pair him with Zay Jones. I'll go to Shady. I know that the running of the quarterback is cannibalizing it, but I still think that in a different game script, especially if they're not playing catch up, they want to give, obviously, McCoy some work. He still could get some targets, and he's kind of an afterthought for a reasonable take. I get it, but that's really the only interest I have. I'm not going to go to Josh Allen, especially if he has some ownership.
Are you going to go to any defenses here? Because I like the McCoy take. Obviously, it's risky. He's burned me on countless occasions this season. I mean, seriously, yeah. I won't say burn me. I think each time I've played him, I've gotten like 12 or so, which isn't good, but it's not terrible either because he's been so cheap. But I mean, with LaShawn McCoy, he's just been so ridiculously volatile, man. I get it. I really do. His Jets run defense is terrible. The Bills defense, though, it's a game with a 37-point total. They're 4.5-point favorites. The Jets have a 16.3-point implied total. Does the Buffalo defense intrigue you, or are you just scared to go back down this path again?
Yeah, I think I have a little shell shock, but so I get it. I may have a little, but the problem I had is that if I can pay up for defense, I want the Chargers, and they're only $300 more. So for me, most of the time, I either found the way to get all the way up, or I took a substantial discount from 3,200. I get the play, but for lineup construction purposes, it didn't actually become the end result into too many of my lineups.
I went cheap in a few too.
Yeah, I got some sickos down there. I can't wait to hear who you got.
Got some Green Bay down at 2,100.
Oh wow!
Got some Arizona at 2,300.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know, man. Matt Ryan coming into that cold weather at Lambeau, first game, no Mike McCarthy. I'm not a narrative guy, but I do think that Mike McCarthy was a really bad coach and hung around way longer than he should have. So I just think Atlanta coming into that, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Josh Allen, though, what do you think his ownership will be? Because I can't lie. I do have some intrigue here. The guy's he's been really impressive with his legs, man.
That's right. No, yeah, he's an impressive dude. He's a stud. Wyoming football produces greats. What can you say? There's so many quarterbacks. So this is a 13-game slate. That's 26 QBs. You throw out a handful who really have no chance of getting owned. Say that leaves you with 20. You can only play one. It adds to 100%. So, the ownership is naturally going to be very dispersed. It's not like you're going to have quarterbacks that shoot up to 40%. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
We're used to seeing Josh Allen. He's been 1-2%. I think this is going to be, a 10%, maybe even more kind of situation where people are going to use him in their portfolios. And I'm not saying I don't have any interest. It's just, I don't know how much leverage I can get. I don't really want to devote, 1/5 of my lineups to Josh Allen today. There's just too many other QBs.
Fair enough. Right now on DraftKings, we have him coming in around 4.2% ownership projection. Obviously that's pretty low. But as you point out, there's also a lot of quarterbacks that are in good spots. So I think Allen will have some ownership still, but I also don't expect him to be, people talk about, fade him. Not everyone's going to have it. Dude. There's so many good quarterbacks on this slate. Like I don't even know if there's going to be a chalk quarterback on this slate. Like someone with just massive ownership. I don't see how there can be.
No,
I really don't.
No, I'm with you because you only get one, and there's too many guys that are going to garner 5 to 12% ownership. Those add up. It only adds to 100%. It's not like wide receiver and other positions where it can add to 300, and then you have the flex as well. So there's just not that much room for a massive chalk quarterback, and that makes it you kind of just play the most optimal guys. There's just so many for me where the floor is significantly higher than someone like Josh Allen.
Agreed. And fortunately for anybody that isn't going to be tuning in until 11 o'clock, well, you're only missing Buffalo and the New York Jets. So good thing we got that one out of the way early. How about Washington and the New York Giants, Ben? We've got no Odell Beckham, and I don't see, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times this year, but I just do not see how Saquon Barkley does not get a ton of work in a spot where you're down. Evan Silva said you're down your best quarterback now, which he's not wrong.
Yep.
You're just down so much. It really hurts you. Sterling Shepard got a lot of work in before he got hurt last year while Odell was out. He averaged, I think, like 9 targets a game. But at the same time, they didn't have an Odell Beckham or a Saquon Barkley. They didn't. They didn't have a run game. It was completely anemic. Now you have the Giants 3-point favorites on the road against a punchless Washington offense. How is it that Barkley isn't just usually heavy today?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't see many narratives, regardless of where the Giants are at. If they control the game, it's going to be because of Saquon. And if they're playing catch up, Saquon is going to be racking up the catches, the volume. It's a Christian McCaffrey game flow situation. And I keep saying this. I've said it all week. It seems like when the Giants get a soft matchup, Saquon finds the end zone enough to get there. And when they're in a brutal matchup, he gets the 10, 15 targets. And either way, it's a pretty nice path to success. You have 4 big running backs today. I get, you got to prioritize somewhat. Of course you could play any of them, but Saquon is the guy that I'm looking to get over on. It's just hard from a volume standpoint to not think that his floor puts him firmly in play for a quality performance. And if he finds the end zone, now you're getting into the upside ceiling potential.
Right. I mean, is there any way that you reasonably see them playing from behind here?
Yeah, I do. I think the Redskins win this.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a grinded out. And that's not to say, I just said I like Saquon.
Right. Yeah, sure. I'm just curious where you're at here.
Yeah, I think the Redskins at home put up some fight, lean on the defense, shorten the game, and win an ugly one. If they have to play catch up, for me, this is a type of game. Whoever gets out in front, I think, has a massive, massive advantage. Because if the Redskins are forced to play catch up with Sanchez, it's going to go horribly. And if the Giants even have to not even play catch up, but if the Redskins are able to really control that clock, win time of possession, and lean on the defense, who they're not the best unit, but the Redskins offense, the entire line is banged up. Everybody is hurt. It's going to be tough for them to really put up a ton of points. But that doesn't mean that Saquon, even in either game flow, can get going. And it just seems like 100 total yards and over 5 catches is as bad as it could truly go.
Right. That's where I'm at as well. They don't have many weapons, and Evan Ingram has been a colossal disappointment through most of this season. I know he's dealt with some injuries, but still, he was a guy that in seasonal leagues was being drafted in the middle of the pack, the middle rounds, and now you're looking at a guy who is basically losing snaps to Rhett Ellison. I'm not joking either. Like, that's happening. Losing snaps and targets. Ellison's been targeted, weeks 12 and 13. He's been targeted a combined 12 times. We didn't get any Evan Ingram in those games, but I'm pretty confident that we're expecting Rhett Ellison to still be involved. The point I'm making is that the only really reliable guy here, in my opinion, is Saquon Barkley. I think Shepard at his price point does make some sense. He's going to avoid Josh Norman almost all of the time, since Norman really just never travels from where he always lines up. But again, you're relying on Eli Manning, and even Eli Manning on short passes isn't an easy guy to trust.
No, that's the thing about running back. It's great, especially if you're paying up. If they want to give Saquon the ball, they can give him the ball. Whereas even with any receiver, we'll talk about the Cortland Suttons of the world. You need the quarterback to give them a chance. They can pepper these guys with targets, but the success rate is not like it is with someone like Saquon, where his targets are as easy as they can be. And the volume, of course, on the ground is they give him the ball when they want to.
Right. Let's see. Tori Rump says Chris Thomson will outscore Barkley today. Well, that's a hot take.
Dante's peak level hot. I do think that I'm not targeting the Redskins not going there, but if they are to win this game, it's going to have to be with guys like that. They don't have many deep threats. Sanchez not going downtown too much. I don't think guys like Doxson are in play, but Saquon is, like I said, we just both agreed, 100 total yards and over 5 catches in the worst case scenario for me, it feels like.
Right. It's hard to overlook that.
Yeah.
Plus, he's not even the most expensive running back. So,
and I don't think he'll
can
be
get on board.
Popular either, do you?
No.
Yeah.
The reason is, too, you have a couple reasons. Christian McCaffrey's just been lighting the world on fire. And you have Ezekiel Elliott. Actually, in our ownership projections, we have Elliott and McCaffrey almost 10% higher, projected higher ownership than Barkley on DraftKings right now. And if you wanted to, by the way, check out our ownership projections, our player projections for football, for basketball, for PGA. Is PGA still going?
It's the mini break, but the season start, like this is the break and it's almost the new season already. It's the longest sport.
Right. Fantasy Cruncher, we have the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. And of course, the lineup builder, all of Alex Baker, aka Awesemo stuff, and all of our articles that we spend a whole lot of time on that are behind paywall. All of that can be found on awesemo.com. And you can get a free week, entirely free, everything behind paywall, simply by using the promo code in the bottom left side of the screen, Game Plan Show. Go to awesemo.com, click Join Now at the top right of the homepage, select your plan, and when you are going to check out, all you'll do is you'll be prompted to enter a promo code, and that will be Game Plan Show, all one word. You get a free week, or a week entirely free, everything behind paywall. You can check out our Slack chat as well. Nothing to lose at all. So check it out. Join us. I think you'll want to stay, and then you can join the wonderful family at Awesemo.
That's
all
right.
right. That's right. Game Plan Show, all one word. Check it out when you sign up. It's at the last page. Washington Giants. Anything else here you have interest in? Like, you think Washington could win, so there's no way you might sneak in some Giants defense or anything, right? This is a Saquon game for you?
It's a Saquon game. Honestly, one of the real, like the most aggressive defense I have some Redskins defense.
Wow.
I just think at home, and this is where say they
the
get
only
up.
way they'll win.
Yeah, that's the only way they're going to win is to pressure Eli. And again, I keep saying this. That's not to say Saquon can easily get his volume and production while the Redskins defense have a very quality output.
Absolutely. No, I don't think that's crazy at all. And the Skins defense is very cheap. I have Arizona at the same price, so I guess that's why I don't have ton of interest in Washington, but I get it. And no one's going to play them. No one's going to play them. Everyone right now is looking at Washington as this garbage team without a quarterback, which is not untrue, but at the same time, there's only so much that New York's going to be able to do without Odell Beckham. It's Barkley for me. That's pretty much it. Sprinkle in a little bit of Shepard, but I'm not supremely confident in him. Do you have anything else here before we move on?
No, that's about it. These first 2 games, pretty ugly.
Yes, there's no question. Outside, because the funny thing, Barkley is actually a really good play, but the game as a whole is pretty ugly. And I know you have some LaShawn McCoy for Buffalo. Makes sense. And really, historically, he's been so much better at home. Take it for what it's worth, but it's true. His splits at home, historically, maybe not this year, but every other year with Buffalo have been really, really significantly much better at home, especially in terms of touchdowns. Buffalo's just moved the ball better there. Let's talk about the Bucs and the Saints. We're expecting some rain, but it's going to be 75 degrees. And I'm seeing that the rain's supposed to slow down leading up to kickoff anyway. So not something I'm really worried about. It's not cold. You're not going into Lambeau. You're not going to Buffalo. What is that, New Era Stadium now or something? It's Tampa. It's still going to be warm there, despite a little bit of rain or a lot bit of rain, but who cares? What do you make of this game right now? It has, unsurprisingly, the highest total on the slate by a wide margin. It was 55. It's down to 54.5. The Saints are 10-point favorites coming off an extended layoff after that Thursday night loss to Dallas, where they managed 10 points. And quite frankly, Ben, probably would have scored fewer than, well, they made their own mistakes, but that touchdown came on a roughing the kicker on a punt when the Saints were kicking it away. And then the very next play, I think it was, drove it down, or Breeze popped one into the end zone. So even that was a lucky one. They just got shut down all game. And I think it might have been the worst game I've seen Sean Payton call since I've been watching the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was, truly the Saints had 3. Randy Gregory had 7 just for nobody. And then the Cowboys had their points because he was committing horrible penalties. This is a pretty, I don't know. This feels like a bad spot for the Bucs. Just, it's been a long time. They got to lay off the Saints to kind of lick their wounds. But it feels like another century ago, but the Bucs beat the Saints in the Dome in week 1.
That's right.
So it's hard to imagine they get swept by Tampa. I expect the field to be sloppy. I don't think that's a huge deal. There's still plenty of weapons. The key for me is this is the highest total on the slate. How a lot of people are going to go there. I certainly want exposure to the game. I'm going to have some weapons. Not a game I stacked up too much, though. I had trouble making it work for a game for perspective. So I have no problem with Kamara. I think he's going to be the sneakiest of the 4 big stud running backs. Obviously, I don't really need to talk about Michael Thomson. He's amazing, but not a guy I jammed in by any stretch. And then on the other side, you have Humphreys and Godwin. Same concept. They're both starting to creep up in price. And Mike Evans, who's one of the riskier top-end targets week in and week out.
So Michael Thomas is definitely in a spot where I have some legitimate interest in here.
Okay.
This just feels like one of those games where Michael Thomas shows up and puts up huge numbers. I mean, Tampa Bay defensively is just awful. Their secondary is just awful. I get it. Breeze isn't in the Dome. Sure, fine. But Tampa Bay still, according to Football Outsiders DVOA metric, 29th in the league. That's not good. I'm surprised they're not worse, but I guess when you consider Oakland, Atlanta, Detroit are behind them, it makes some sense. And then against wide receiver ones, they're also 29th, allowing 78 yards per game. They've been really bad, man. And you have to think that Breeze and the Saints bounce back from a bad loss last week. Michael Thomas, is he pricey? Yeah, he's pricey. But in that same breath, he is also a type of player that has, and we've seen, 40 fantasy point upside or more. That's something that is important to me when you have that massive upside potential. I guess most of the wide receivers in that range do, but when you look at Michael Thomas, you've seen it where when he has a big game, it's like 15 receptions, 180 yards, and a touchdown big game. It's a monster big game. So that's something that stands out to me and a reason why I will certainly have some interest in him today. Now, elsewhere, here's my thing, Ben. This is where, and I mentioned this on the Sirius XM show yesterday. Awesemo Radio, by the way, it's on Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Ben joined us yesterday with an awesome college football segment, and then it was fun. And then we're on again tonight, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, following all of the live games still in action and recapping everything as well. So join us if you'd like, and if you're around, we'd love to have you with us. With Tampa Bay, I just feel like people downplay the Saints defense, and they are not a bad defense. I'm so tired of hearing this. Earlier in the year, they were terrible, 100%. But this is a defense that, okay, how about this? You look over their last, I think it's 4 games. Ben, their last 4 games, they have 20 sacks. Like they have 20 sacks over the last 4 games, 4, 3, 6, and 7. That's pretty good. Their secondary's been way better recently than it was earlier in this year. The point totals they've allowed. Oh, listen to this. Over the last several games, 13, even though they lost, but still 13 points, 17, 7, 14. Then there was the shootout against the Rams. Then only 20 to Minnesota. Like they are holding teams to low point totals. I wouldn't be surprised if Winston has more trouble throwing the ball, moving the ball than people think. And the reason I'm willing to take a bit of a stand here is because of the quarterbacks right now, it looks like Winston is going to be the most popular, which to me is kind of crazy. I just think I can go elsewhere and get similar, if not better, results without having to worry about it. That's my only thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm with you. And listen, Jameis, he is the poster boy for the concept of the Saints defense. I get that as a sneaky play today. I really do, because Jameis throws turnovers like there's no other, and he can also rack up the yards simultaneously. But I don't think that this is a game where it really turns into a shootout, to be honest. Points are going to be put up because, especially on the Tampa defense side, they just are so terrible. But I don't think it's just a back and forth where, in week one, neither of these teams could stop each other. It was just, you get the ball, you score, you go back and get ready to go back out and put up more points. I don't think that's the game this week. And not to take it, I mean, I don't want to read too much into things, but I do think there is an element that the Saints got on such a streak. They almost got a little too cute for a while. And they were going to guys almost just to go to different guys. They've had a chance to kind of reset. And I expect the big playmakers to get the volume that they were getting earlier in the year. Kamara, Michael Thomas, get back to basics. Stop throwing the ball to 10 different guys all twice. Will they integrate people? Yeah, but they were just getting away from, honestly, what made that offense dynamic.
You know what? I agree. And I also think it's telling, last week going for it on 4th and goal. I mean, look, normally you don't care, but I think you're right. There was just such a high level of confidence coming off those games where they just shit all over every team they faced. And they kind of got smacked in the mouth last week. So you're right. If they go back to, and by basics, we're talking about go to your best players more often. That's all. Yeah, go to your best players. Michael Thomas has a stellar matchup here. I will certainly have quite a bit of him, no question. And then we'll look elsewhere. Alvin Kamara is also, you're looking at Alvin Kamara at a pretty reasonable price point. I see in chat, yes, I read the chat. Don't worry. I had someone saying, does he even look at the chat? I do, but I mean, I can't read every comment in there. Saying, fade Kamara, Ingram is the guy. Ingram has been far more impressive in games where they have a commanding lead. If you think that's what is going to happen today, then sure, Ingram could definitely work out for you. He's going to need to score probably twice, but he's there if you need him. I do think Kamara, though, I mean, 83 on FanDuel, 81 on DraftKings. Alvin Kamara, to me, is still priced very, very reasonably given the matchup.
Yep, I'm with you. If you think that the Saints get out and in control, no problem with Ingram. But as I just talked about, I think that they get back to basics. Kamara in these tight games, they still view him as the clear. It's not a timeshare.
Right.
Kamara is getting the work when it's crunch time. And yeah, I think they go back to their studs. Michael Thomas, just for me, the depth of wide receiver made it a little trickier to get a ton, but I would not fault anyone for making room for a guy like that.
Right. Agreed. And again, I don't think there's going to be like a pure chalk quarterback this week, but I do think in terms of ownership, Winston will be up there. And I don't mind getting away from him in some spots. Quickly, what are you doing with the pass catchers for Tampa Bay? And then we'll move on here.
Honestly, not much. Like, if I get into a jam, I might, Deshaun Jackson being out, I might go to Godwin again. He was good last week. I like him over Humphreys. It's just very hard to go get Mike Evans. There's just so many other guys that are up there that I feel just more comfortable and have, I'd pay the $300 for DeAndre. Obviously, Keenan Allen below him is incredibly safe. So I get the pivot if you want a one-off because the masses are going to Keenan Allen over Mike Evans. I can tell you that much for sure. But at the same time, all in all, the Bucs don't strike me, even with a high total, as a team that I'm super worried about getting torched by.
Yep, I'm with you. That's where I'm at as well. I do think if I'm going with one of them, I think Humphreys is the best matchup in the middle of the field, but I'm not prioritizing any of them. I don't have any interest in Cameron Brate this week either, just to be clear. He's touchdown or bust. I think there's more bust than touchdown here. Saints have been very good against tight ends, and it's not like Winston doesn't still have plenty of guys to get the ball to. I'm not interested in Braid at this price point, and quite frankly, there are other tight ends that are priced almost identically to him that are in better spots that I like more with higher upside. So that's where I'm at there. Let's talk Miami and New England. This game in Miami, the New England Patriots have actually struggled against Miami in recent seasons. Not to say they have like a losing record, but that these games have stayed close, which is not the craziest thing in the world. They are 9.5-point favorites, though. So obviously they're expected to win by quite a large margin. 49-point total here. And everyone's getting healthy for the Patriots. Gronk is back. He's 4,800 on DraftKings. Josh Gordon, James White, Sonny Michel, Julian Edelman. And that's not even factoring in that Xavier Howard is out for Miami. That's that's going to make things really, really tough. And then Danny Amendola. I mean, this is being down Xavier Howard is really bad for Miami, but then also makes it more difficult for me to target anyone from New England, because now you're not going to see Josh Gordon being taken out of the game where you can say, all right, I'll lean on Edelman. And Josh Gordon's going to have a much easier matchup now as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a huge factor because, like you just said, the one thing with the Patriots, there's so many guys already. It was kind of nice to say, I'm not going to attack Howard. So let's take Gordon out.
Exactly.
I can work either with Gronk or Edelman, or I'll attack the backfield. Now it's even tougher, and I don't have a ton of this game at all, to be honest. Gronk, sub 5K. I know we have not seen much. I am starting to question really what his ceiling is, even if we get it right. Is it 60 and a touchdown, or is it the old like 10 catches, $120 and 2? I don't know anymore.
Right.
And if it's not that, even at 4,800, why am I really trying to take a stab on a guy that can't really outgun these top end guys? Having said that, I'm gonna buy on Gronk. That's probably my favorite Patriot, and it's mostly because I know the snaps will be there, can get out there, and it's so many other guys. Edelman is fine, but it's tough to go there. And then the backfield is crowded. James White, Burkhead, Sonny Michel, a lot of mouths to feed, and it's tough to peg that production.
It is. I mean, I still think Michel can have a very solid game here, but I'm not going there because I don't see the need to pay that price tag on a week where we have so much running back value. Like Sonny Michel still saw 17 carries last week with Burkhead healthy, but only one target. James White is clearly the featured back in the passing game on passing downs. And then Julian Edelman, we know that Julian Edelman is going to get his work each and every week. Gronk is the one guy where you say, all right, he's cheaper than everyone else, amazingly, and he still has 2 touchdown upside. We know he does, right? He could have 4 targets and 2 touchdowns and no one would bat an eye. So yes, I agree. To me, that puts him in play just on salary and touchdown upside alone.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's the one guy, like you said, it's a different position, different price point, not as many straight pivots. So I got there, and then this is just a game on the whole. I know Miami does play them tougher, especially down there. They usually struggle in Foxborough. But down here, it's just not a team I'm looking to attack. I can still say that my pulse on Kenyon Drake has not changed from having no idea what to do with him. Not a team that I overly want to get into in a game like this. I don't know what we can even reasonably expect from the passing attack on the Dolphins side.
Yep. And that's why I don't have all that much. If you wanted to, again, as good as guys like Edelman are, as talented as guys like Josh Gordon are, and Sonny Michel, I'm a big fan of Sonny Michel and James White. You're still throwing darts at their price, at their salaries, because none of them are that cheap to where you can just deal with a decent game on a 13-game slate. And that's what comes into play too, right? You have 13 games on this slate. Do you want to go after a guy who is going to get a lot of work because the rest of the team is depleted, they don't have weapons? Or do you want to play a guy on a team that literally has White, Michel, I'll throw Burkhead in there just because he's another mouth to feed, Edelman, Gordon, Gronkowski, and I'm probably missing someone. Like, there's just too many mouths to feed here.
Yep. I say this basically once a week, and I'll keep saying it. Got to get it right multiple times. You got to get the guy who gets the volume, and then he has to produce on top of that. Yep. So it's not enough to just say, there are other situations on a 13-game slate. The volume, for the most part, I know is going to be there, and I'm just saying I hope he produces with those opportunities.
Do you quickly have anything for Miami at all?
I don't. I don't have a single Dolphin on any of my teams.
Neither do I. All right, let's keep it going. And I'll say this though: if there was a Dolphin that was going to put up numbers today at like 0% ownership, I'm telling you right now, it's Kenny Stills.
Kenny Stills. I played him a couple times here at sub 1%, and I get it because he is in the Travis Benjamin bucket of you're hoping for a 70-yard bomb. It's pretty binary, and it only takes one. So I get that. I just not really going to go there this week.
Maybe, and you know why? On that same note, I'd rather, if you're going to pay down to another very low-owned guy, give me Antonio Callaway.
That's right.
I'll take Antonio Callaway. He's going to have virtually no ownership either. He came very, very, very close to having a monster game last week.
And then he fumbled. That was...
Yeah. What do you have? A 70-yard touchdown call back on holding and then fumbled at the 6-yard line on like a 76-yard reception, something ridiculous. So, yeah, Callaway would have... 71. Callaway would have had a monster game. I'm saying monster game.
Oh, yeah. And I have to Baker, so...
Yeah, and then it turned out to just be okay. All right, let's move on to Kansas City and Baltimore. Now, this is one where I am really, really, really looking forward to hearing your take on. And the reason being that, first of all, it's very rare that you see a 50-point total with the Baltimore Ravens involved. Defensively, they have been extremely efficient this season in both facets of the offense, in both phases of the game. We have the 5th best run defense DVOA, 5th best pass defense DVOA. They've been very, very good. So is, just in case you've been living under a rock, so is Kansas City's offense. And now you've got one of the league's best defenses coming into Arrowhead on the road to face one of the league's 3 best offenses. Where do you see? Because it's a really, really fascinating matchup. Where do you see this playing out?
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm excited to see this for a lot of reasons because it's easy to see Mahomes beat up on the Raiders. Like, that's great. He wasn't even that sharp, and they hung 40. This is going to be a good test. It's in Arrowhead, and I'm usually underweight on Mahomes. I like him this week. I think he's going to. People see the matchup with the Ravens, and I get it. I saw firsthand with my Falcon stacks why that doesn't always work attacking the Ravens defense. But at home, not going to be popular. They get DraftKings has the dynamic pricing where these guys are underpriced because they're playing a tough defense. I bought on Mahomes and Tyreek Hill in this situation. They should have connected from, honestly, multiple. Talk about Antonio Callaway. Tyreek Hill dropped like a 60-yard touchdown, and Mahomes overthrew him on multiple other deep touchdowns. Could have been a huge game. And Travis Kelce, who was amazing, I get it, ended up getting all of that and more. So that doesn't tell
Tyreek Hill burned me so bad last week.
It was not good. He burned me too. And I think I get it, but if you didn't watch that game, you're looking at the box score, and it's telling a different story than what actually happened. So I have no problem going right back to Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. Spencer Ware, he's interesting. Obviously, the ownership is going to plummet. It's just a tough spot. I think he's kind of a fringe cash play almost, and I didn't get there. I'd rather roll the dice with LaShawn McCoy.
You know what? I get it. I totally get it. And first of all, with guys like Spencer Ware, I don't have any interest in him this week. I don't think he's that good. I said the same thing last week. I remember people were saying, yeah, but he was the starter last season before Kareem Hunt, before he got injured and Kareem Hunt took over. Yeah, sure. It doesn't mean, Alex Collins was the starter this year. That dude stinks. So it doesn't mean all that much to me. All I'm saying is, once again, there is value at running back, and I'm not going to look to force guys in a bad matchup. Can Kansas City move the football? Of course. And they will. Look, the game is a 50-point total. But I actually, how many points do you think this game is decided by? There's a 6.5-point spread right now. Obviously, the Chiefs are favored.
I think the Chiefs win relatively easy in Arrowhead.
Relatively easy.
Yeah, I would lay. Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs by double digits.
By double, okay. So you have them comfortably winning this game.
Yeah. Give me like a 31-17.
Okay, so after your entire breakdown, is there anyone you prioritize here?
No, not prioritize, because I think for me it's a sense of the leverage against the field. Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, I think, will be far less popular than attacking it with Travis Kelce.
No doubt.
And I get it, and it's not like I don't have some, but this is a dynamic offense, and I don't think we just pencil in that, they're going to attack. I get the tight end may be where you'd want to attack Baltimore, but Tyreek Hill is an anomaly. He's just a difference maker in the sense you can't really manufacture that type of speed. So if him and Mahomes get clicking, like I said, going back to last week, the box score would look incredibly difficult, not just for Tyreek Hill, but for Travis Kelce, if Mahomes and Tyreek connected on a couple of those. So it's a very fluid situation.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So would my DK balance. That's neither here nor there. It would all look significantly different if they could have caught those.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill just absolutely slaughtered me last week, and it hurt so bad to see every time they scored, he had zero involvement whatsoever.
That's right.
Dropping passes, dropping would-be touchdowns. Yeah, and I paid up for him too. Like, this is nice. And the thing is, it's not like he was that high owned either, so it was even worse.
Oh, it was bad.
It was bad. Meanwhile, Kelce goes off for a monster game. So, what are you going to do? On the other side, I'm not going here. Gus Edwards is cheap. The problem is, if they fall behind, I don't see how he gets. If they fall behind, he's going to get phased out. I think he's got one target on the season, so that just takes him out of play for me. And obviously, Lamar Jackson can't throw accurately downfield. So everybody else on Baltimore is a non-factor.
Yep, the only guy, and I'm not even sure he's going to crack the lineups, but just because of the game script that I have playing out, I'd honestly rather play Ty Montgomery, who has shown a little life as a Jalen Richard type. If the Ravens really get smacked in the mouth and they're playing full catch-up, I think he could get a significant amount of targets on this team.
All right. Joe Flacco's inactive, by the way, in case that matters to anyone, which it shouldn't.
No.
I don't think it should. It's funny because they're saying, Flacco's going to be worked in with Jackson. Now he's not active at all. Sammy Watkins in this same game, also inactive. So there you have it. Let's keep it rolling here, Ben. We've got Houston and Indianapolis. This game, I expect to see quite a bit of scoring. Not that I'm, saying anything you don't already know. 49-point total. Right now, the Houston Texans are 4-point favorites at NRG Stadium. This is a Colts team that, amazingly, last time out, was held scoreless. It is not easy to not score throughout a 60-minute football game. Just saying.
Hell yeah, at this day and age too. Like, just by random penalty. Like, there are multiple drives you just don't even do anything. You just get so many penalties. You get a field goal. Like, it is hard to not put up points. Furthermore, this is an offense. Luck had been throwing 3 TDs like clockwork. It's an outlier. Obviously, this is a game I talked about. Saints Bucks, couldn't really stack it. This is one I found pretty easy and appealing to stack. Have multiple lineups where I integrated one of the quarterbacks with the receivers and ran it back. So, Deshaun Watson is one of my favorite QBs on the slate. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is in play. And then you've got Ebron and T.Y. on the other side, who are just, they're going to be Luck's weapons. And I expect them to get plenty of opportunity.
Me too. And it's funny, too, because this game against the Jaguars where they scored 0 points, the Jaguars bookended this matchup with a 24 points allowed to the Bills and then 30 points allowed to the Titans and a four touchdown game to Derrick Henry, who didn't have a run above 20 yards, all of 20-yard run or more all season long, until he absolutely carved them up. It's just crazy. So I expect the Colts to bounce back as well. They're also down quite a bit of weapons, right? Even guys like Dontrell Inman is out, and Jack Doyle out. T.Y. Hilton to me is still too cheap. I love this guy's ceiling. And you know what? His floor is not bad either, Ben. This is a guy that has amassed 75 plus yards in 4 straight games, has a huge ceiling, as we know. And people talk about he doesn't score. Well, he's got 6 touchdowns in 10 games. Mind you, he did miss a game, and he was playing hobbled in a couple of them as well. T.Y. Hilton can score. So is it the easiest matchup? No. Is he dealing with that shoulder injury? Yeah, but I will say all of that's kind of baked into the price. $6,300 on Hilton is very reasonable. I want to know where you're at, though, in terms of priority on a guy like Eric Ebron, who is up to $5,700 on DraftKings. I got a fun stat for you that I pulled up yesterday on the Sirius show.
Oh, dear God.
Eric Ebron has more touchdowns this year than he did throughout his entire career combined.
That guy, it just makes me wonder what goes on in Detroit, just in general, because the number of times that he didn't score and then injured himself on the same play in Detroit was just, this is a new guy, and it's unbelievable. He's getting there. I mean, last week, he obviously didn't find the end zone, and he still had a good game. Like, he's just getting peppered with targets. And T.Y., I'm with you. People talk, this is not LaShawn McCoy home road splits. People think that with T.Y. Hilton, it's being in a dome. And this is
exactly.
It's not, he's on the road, I don't like him. It's outdoors. That's a fair argument. But this is a guy I have no concern that they're in Houston. That's not going to be a problem. And I expect a fine performance from him again today.
Looks like Bitcoin might make a little bit of a run here, Ben. Did we hit bottom?
To the moon. Great. Usually I'm already drawing dead before the slates start just because crypto is in the garbage. But there we go. Things are looking up.
Yeah, only down 80% plus since this time last year. Pretty sweet. But Ebron on FanDuel, he's priced the same as like Jordan Reed and Jared Cook and Rob Gronkowski, and a little bit more expensive than Austin Hooper. That's still a very palatable price point. And then $5,700 on DraftKings isn't crazy either. He's kind of in an area of his own with George Kittle and Jared Cook. But I think Houston's biggest weakness defensively has been against tight ends. So I still like Ebron a lot this week. If you can get to him, I say play him. Houston. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, the tight end, it's kind of like running back. There's that like top tier with Kelsey, him, Kittle, Ertz, but I have no problem. If you can get to him, put him in there.
No doubt. Yeah. And he's quite a bit less expensive than Kelsey and Ertz too, particularly on FanDuel. What do you do about, and by the way, before we move to Houston, I just wanted to point out that Houston's run defense is very good, right? I mean, they're second best run defense in the league per DVOA, and that's real. I mean, they have shut down a lot of quality running backs, good ones and bad ones alike. So T.Y. Hilton and Ebron, I just think, as you pointed out, the volume should be very concentrated there, and that's what I look for guys that are going to see a heavy concentration of volume where there really aren't many alternatives that you can throw to. That's why. I don't know how much Hilton will have, but I still think he's a very, very fine play. And as you mentioned, in the dome, it's not about home and road splits. It's being in the dome where he excels. On the other side, Houston playing good football, man. They're playing very solid football right now. I don't know how much I'm going to have, but Deshaun Watson, to me, is a very, very good place. $5,900 on DraftKings. There shouldn't be much. I'm not too worried about the pressure here. I think even if there is, the guy's got wheels so he can run. And then DeAndre Hopkins is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th highest priced wide receiver on DraftKings. Eighth highest price. $7,800 for a guy like Hopkins, to me, is still a spot where you have to at least consider him, or we have to at least talk about him in this matchup.
Oh yeah. Deshaun Watson is a guy that, and we don't know. Houston is rolling, and maybe they just roll again. But I'm pretty confident in saying that Deshaun Watson in the last couple of weeks has not had to hit his ceiling. He could have. He was in full control, and they relied on Lamar Miller, the defense. I think this is a game where luck pushes them, and him and DeAndre Hopkins have to get going, and I think they will. So I certainly started lineups with Watson and Hopkins and worked around that.
Right. That's pretty much where it's at. And I don't know. I don't think anyone would be surprised. At least I won't speak for anyone but myself. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this game shoot out.
No, this is one of my favorite games to stack on the entire slate.
Me too. Now, I will just preface this with, while it's one of my favorite games to stack, my usage of these players is going to be concentrated between not many of them, meaning Hopkins and Watkins or Watson on Houston, and then whether it be Luck, Hilton, or Ebron on Indy. I don't think I'm venturing past that. Are you?
No, not really. Demaryius Thomas is probably the closest to someone you didn't mention of guys.
Kute is out, by the way. Just got ruled out.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas is closer. He may find his way into a couple, but I'm with you. This is a game, and part of the reason I like to stack it, I think above most, we really know where the production is going to come from if it shoots out. Not saying that happens, but I don't see many ways where Marlon Mack explodes in this game. Like, it just seems know, okay, this is where it's going to come from, and I'm going to target those guys.
You know what? I think Nyheim Hines could have a bigger game in this spot before Mack does, just because he's getting a lot of that passing work.
Yeah.
And I just think Mack will struggle to find running room. I really do think DeAndre Hopkins, if you need that discount, say you want to get up to like Eric Ebron and you're stuck in the high 4K range on DraftKings and you can't find the money, going down from a Michael Thomas to DeAndre Hopkins is not the craziest idea at all. So just keep that in mind. Hopkins' price is very friendly. And I think we all know he still has monster upside in a spot like this at home in a divisional game. I like him a lot. Some housekeeping news quickly before we move on. Kute is out, and we have, not that anyone cares about Josh Doxson. Nobody does, right? Danny Amendola is active. Robbie Anderson's active. And, no one really cares about that stuff. Kelvin Benjamin's inactive, too.
Thank God.
You going to say something?
No. I was just living my life. Kelvin Benjamin is dust. They don't need him.
Yeah, not good. Let's talk about another game that is actually really, really friendly for fantasy purposes. And there are several of them on this slate, no question. We still haven't gotten to all of them. Cleveland and Carolina. Here we go, Ben. We've got ourselves a total sitting at right now 47.5. Carolina is, you want to talk about being on the schneid, yet to get off of it. This is Cam Newton and the Panthers. They just lost to Tampa, managed 17 points against them, lost at the end of the game to Seattle, lost to Detroit, got smoked by Pittsburgh. After convincing wins against Baltimore and Tampa and a comeback win over Philly, they've dropped 4 straight and are on the outside looking in. And now you have Cleveland, who, everyone said, look at this upstart Cleveland team. Yeah, now we're rocking. They got absolutely bludgeoned by Houston the other week, and Baker Mayfield may have salvaged with some late game heroics, and I get that Callaway didn't do him any favors, but Baker also looked pretty bad early on. So now you got 2 teams coming off some bad weeks in a game where I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this game go over that 47.5 total. What are you doing with it, and how do you envision it playing out?
I'm with you. This is one of, I just mentioned the game that the Texans Colts. I like this game a lot as well. Carolina is just bad. I don't even know what to say. I cannot believe the wheels fell off this season as abruptly as they did.
Crazy, right?
It really is.
Especially with how well McCaffrey's played.
I don't understand. I really don't. Besides me just cursing them, because I really thought they were a dangerous team. having said all that, so yeah, this is a spot. I feel like I have a good pulse on this Cleveland team. I was really heavy on the Texans defense last week. I thought Baker would struggle against that type of pressure, and he did. This is a different animal in every facet. I like him a lot this week to bounce back. He seems, regardless of the way the game script goes, to have a relatively good floor. Even last week, he got a lot of garbage work in and made a horrible game look respectable from fantasy perspective. And now he gets this Carolina defense who's in a free fall at home. So I don't mind attacking with the air. I do worry that they get in control and Chubb just controls this game. That's my biggest concern, to be honest. But at the same time, you mentioned Antonio Callaway as a deep flyer. Jarvis Landry did get it done mostly in garbage time. I will admit that. But I think you can look to him again with Baker. And I'm pretty high on the Browns in this spot.
Yeah, so am I. It doesn't feel very good.
No.
But actually, maybe I'm not as high as you are. I'm high on them, but this is another team where it has been more difficult to predict where the production is going to come from outside of Nick Chubb. I think Antonio Callaway is a guy who's worth going back to this week. I know the guy makes some mental errors. I totally get it. But he also has a really high ceiling that have we seen it yet? Maybe not. But just like last week, man, I understand again. Well, it didn't happen. So how can you say that, Dave? Well, he fumbled it to 6 on a 71-yard catch and run, and then he had a 76-yarder, I think, called back on a holding penalty. He does have, put it this way, he has a lot of big play upside. I'll just put it there.
Yeah,
and he's really cheap, so I like it. Jarvis, resurfaced last week, and I don't know how much. I don't know how much you can prioritize a guy like Jarvis, but he's certainly there. And then quickly, since we still have some games to get to, where are you at on Njoku here? Can he bounce back from what have been some really ugly games?
Kenny, yeah, because he's a freak athlete and he's a red zone target. I ultimately just either found the money to go get one of the premier tight ends or just used a different punt in that kind of same range. I didn't have much room for him.
Yeah, I think I moved to like Vance McDonald over Njoku.
That's who I moved to. Yep.
Yeah. What about Carolina?
So for me, it was pretty simple. The team's in free for all. I'm not really looking to attack them. Christian McCaffrey obviously is in a different situation. He's one of the safest plays on the board week in, week out. He's expensive and he's going to be popular. So I get it if you want to play him, and I get it if you say, you know what, give me Saquon, give me Kamara, give me someone else and the savings. So I have some, but not by any stretch going to define my week.
Yeah, me neither. Do you have more Barkley or McCaffrey or someone else up top?
I have more Kamara than all of them.
More Kamara. And then?
Then Saquon.
And then McCaffrey. Okay. Yeah. And I just find myself having trouble getting to DJ Moore here. I really like him. He is their best receiver. I'm not playing Funchess. He's been relegated to basically like red zone work, which isn't a bad thing, but it is when you're only getting a couple targets a game. Curtis Samuels has that explosive nature, but is this a game where you need, again, with Carolina, I don't know how much I can prioritize here, and I guess you feel the same way.
Yep.
All right, let's keep moving on here. We got some games to go. And of course, coming up after us, leading you up to lock is the Live Before Lock show. NFL Live Before Lock, going to take you up to 1 p.m. Eastern time. But before we do that, I want to let you know that, as you already know by now, all of you, this is the Awesemo 24 Days of Giveaway. As for 24 straight days leading up to Christmas Eve, as a gift from us to you, our loyal and awesome viewers, we're giving away some really cool prizes each and every day leading up to Christmas Eve. And then it'll all transpire on Christmas Eve, where someone wins an all-access premium yearly. Yes, 365 calendar days, all-access membership to Awesemo.com. Everything behind paywall for a full calendar year. Pretty awesome. However, week two is starting, and that means, well, here, I'll tell you what it means. That means that whoever wins, and we're doing one random winner each day, drawing one random winner each day, you can win not just a NFL rest of the season, but you can get a free month of any sport you want. So you're choosing your sport. If you win, you get to choose what sport you want, or you can win a piece of merchandise from our new store. Yes, we have a new store with some really cool merch in there, shop.awesemo.com. That's shop.awesemo.com. All you have to do, like the video and comment below. Whatever you want to comment. Ben, you got any interesting comments for today? Because it's got to be below. It can't be in the YouTube chat.
Yeah. So it's not in the chat. It's actually what I think we should do is, what team do you think has the highest point total at the end of this slate today? So give us the team that you think scores the most. So whoever you think, drop it in there and you'll be eligible for the giveaway. What do you think about that?
There you go. Yep, perfectly fine. And if you just want to say something nice, that works too. I mean,
yeah,
if you comment,
build us up.
Right. If as long as you comment, it can be whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. So all you got to do, like, comment below after the show's over, and you are entered to win. And you can do it if you did it on the early bird, the live before lock show, the deeper dive, the game plan show, all of that in the same day. You're entered to win for all of them every single day. So all you can do is boost your entries. And again, on
style.
That's right. That's exactly. Yeah. And the final giveaway on Christmas Eve, a grand prize, again, all access annual pass, a $700 value to one randomly selected winner. So hopefully we can get you guys in there and we'll be able to show our appreciation to you in this Christmas and holiday season. We appreciate you guys. All right, Green Bay and Atlanta. We'll speed it up a little bit here. We have to. We only have so much time. 13 games is tough to get through, man. It really is. Green Bay, I might be higher on them than most this week, honestly. I think, and it's not even a narrative thing, right? It's not even a narrative thing. First of all, we've got a 50-point total here. I have no respect for Atlanta right now, no respect for their defense. Devontae Adams gets his every single week. So even if Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a good game, Devontae Adams probably will, and I'm going to have a good amount of him. Aaron Jones coming off of a week where he struggled a bit, but still found the end zone. And Jamal Williams was integrated back. That was Mike McCarthy's going away present. Aaron Jones, I think, is going to be integrated back in as the lead back because he should be. But Devontae Adams is a guy that I really like quite a bit here.
Yeah, I don't think I'm as high on Green Bay as most. Devontae Adams notwithstanding, I have him in cash. I just think that no matter what, he's going to get monster target share, and it's against a defense that has no one who can really stop him. We'll see with the running back situation. They should let Aaron Jones go back to where he was trending to. I didn't understand that last week. And this is a new regime, so there is an element of a wild card of what we see. But all in all, I didn't get too aggressive with the Packers. It's just kind of the pretty obvious targets.
I agree. I have like a Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins pairing ahead of Rodgers, Adams. Mm-hmm. But in cash, as you just pointed out, Adams is a really good cash play, just really rock solid cash play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you get up to Aaron Jones here, or is he too pricey? Because it's obviously a very good spot for him, but
yeah, it's interesting. It's such a weird pricing where there's the big four, and then we're gonna get to there's the cheapies. There's 3 really obvious targets sub like 4K. It created a big vacuum in the middle. So I get it. It just didn't really jive with what I wanted to do on many lineups this week. So that factored into not having much.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much what it is for me too. We've been on pretty much the same page. You probably have more McCoy than I do, but that's not because I hate him. It's just because I didn't, there's a few other guys that I have above him. On the other side, Atlanta, I'm not even kidding, Ben. I don't have anyone from Atlanta. I don't even have really Julio because I just like so many top flight wide receivers.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really talk about the Falcons after last week. They just can't get it done in the dome.
Oh yeah, you were high on them. That's right.
So high on them, and they were just awful. Going up to Lambeau, it's not a great spot. So if you want to be ultra aggressive, do I get pairing, Matt Ryan with Hooper and Julio or something and running it back with Devontae Adams? If I was playing 150 teams, I would do that a couple of times. But I'm not, and I'm not going there. I just think there's too many red flags for this offense right now.
Agreed. 25 mile per hour or 25 degrees Fahrenheit, 11 mile per hour winds. I told you earlier today, I actually have some Packers defense at 2,100 on DraftKings. I do.
That's
yeah,
no one's gonna play them.
It certainly is aggressive. I understand that, but I just have no faith in this Atlanta offense right now. Also, Packers, you look at this, their defense at home. I just pulled this up now, not to get too much into something like this, but their home and road splits for their defense, just DraftKings, 11 DraftKings points per game and 2.7 DraftKings points per game on the road. So they can definitely use that home field advantage and those elements against this Atlanta team. I really do think they can. It's risky, no question, but they're $2,100. And it's the most volatile position on the board anyway, Ben. So that's why I don't have an issue taking some risks there, throwing some darts. I wouldn't be surprised to see Matt Ryan struggle again. All right. Anything else on that one?
Not really, honestly.
All right. No, I'm with you. How about Denver and San Francisco? This is one I want to start right out of the gate. 45.5 total. Broncos are 3-point favorites on the road. It's come down a bit, actually. But I want to start right out of the gate with Jeff Wilson. And I'm telling you straight up, I get it. It's risky, but I will be going underweight on Jeff Wilson today. I just am. His projected ownership is through the roof. There are other cheap running backs that I think I can get to. I will be going underweight on Jeff Wilson against Denver.
Interesting. I probably going to come in overweight on him.
That's surprising. You never come in overweight on these guys either.
I know. And it's, the way I built it just funneled me. And we'll get to Jalen Samuels. But, yeah, this is an interesting spot. The game as a whole, it could be ugly, but he's so cheap. Breida, not there. He's going to get work in the passing game. We saw a lot of garbage time. That's my one concern. The Niners game log is messed up from last week because that game dragged forever in Seattle. A lot of that production came when it was out of hand, him included. But it's a guy truly, I don't know much about him. It clearly can get some passing work. But I did buy and I know the ownership's going along with it. Aggressive fade by you. If you get that right, you will be at a huge advantage because that's one of the more popular plays on the slate.
Yeah, it's obviously a big risk. There's no question, and I'm willing to do so. And you know what? I'm going to be going with some Justin Jackson. I am. Well, you know what? We'll get there. We will get there, and I'll explain why. And I'm sure Chad is about to erupt with how dumb that is. Maybe it is, but I at least have some. I'll at least share my reasoning with you in a minute. Outside of Jeff Wilson, though, I think George Kittle's a perfectly fine play again. Yep. Despite Nick Mullins' ineptitude, George Kittle has still gotten plenty of work. Right, he's seen 32 targets over the last 3 games, and his performance with Mullins at the helm in 4 games has been very good. 24 fantasy points, 17, 12, 13. So he hasn't been bad. And he's still getting a lot of work. I think Kittle is fine. I don't see myself going to Pettis or really any of the wide receivers here. And on the other side, you have Lindsey and you have Courtland Sutton. What are you doing with them?
I'm probably going to have 0% Lindsey. I'm going to let people chase that. I'll make a stand. I think the Niners defense, especially on the ground, is a little better than people give it credit for. Courtland Sutton is a guy, talk about risky. I get it's a risk. I just couldn't get away, though. I have it. He's the last man standing, him and Deshaun Hamilton, who, if you want to, he's the min, but it's hard to trust those guys. I get it if you want to take a deep flyer, but Courtland Sutton is just a guy that the targets are going to be through the roof now that Emmanuel Sanders is no longer there.
Agreed. Yeah, I'll have some Sutton. He's cheap. I don't hate it. If he can't get it done today, he can't get it done ever, Ben. It's that simple.
It's true. And I mean, he's a guy I think you have to. You may not like it, but in cash, it's hard not to use him.
Right. And if you want some minimum salary, Deshaun Hamilton, go for it.
Yeah. I have.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's minimum salary. Chargers and Cincinnati. I'll tell you why quickly that I'm talking about Justin Jackson. He's the exact same price as Jeff Wilson and $100 more than Jalen Samuels. The Chargers are 16-point favorites, Ben. Justin Jackson is expected to get more work in the first half this week. Austin Eckler is a pass-catching back who, sure, once in a while can run well, but we've seen in certain spots can struggle. Last week, I get it. Tough Pittsburgh run defense, totally understand. But in that same breath, like Justin Jackson had a really solid run. He's run 15 times for 120 yards over his last 2 games. I just think they're going to go up. Cincinnati's totally anemic offensively and defensively. I think Justin Jackson is going to get, if they go up, I expect Justin Jackson to get worked in a lot. And I like the kid. He's cheap. He's basically the same price as these guys, which is going to make him a lot less owned at the same price. To me, it just makes sense to get some Justin Jackson mixed in, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, he is I would say he'll be the lowest owned of these big three sub 4K options with Wilson, Samuels, and him, and I get it. I do worry about the workload. I was stunned he didn't get more opportunities against Pittsburgh. Then when he did, we saw what happened. I was happy to see that. I like him a lot too. I think Eckler, honestly, is really sneaky this week. No one is going to play him.
Expensive, that's why.
He's over. He's too pricey. And he's coming off a tough matchup with Pittsburgh. This is a different animal. I think this is what we're going to see with Eckler, what we thought we were going to see, which is a boatload of catches, racking up the yards, and if he finds the end zone, he's going to be a good play today. It is hard to get him in lineups, I will admit. And I'm with you. I have some Justin Jackson. Definitely not as high on him as you are, but if he gets the work, that is a guy, he's a way more prototypical carry the load type of running back for the Chargers.
Yep, pretty much. Chris and Josh coming up next on Live Before Lock, by the way. We got to move quickly. We're not playing anyone from Cincinnati, agree? Okay, just real fast. What are your thoughts on Rivers and Allen? I'm worried about the game script here.
I don't have Rivers because of that. Keenan Allen, the price is good enough where I don't care. Yes. I'm just playing him.
Right, and the difference is that Rivers will need a pretty decent game throughout to pay off his salary. Keenan Allen only needs one or two, really right. Solid plays, and that's it. And he's just too cheap. Cash tournament doesn't matter. I prefer him in cash, but Keenan Allen, we don't need to spend time telling you that he's a very good play, too cheap, getting a ton of work.
Yep.
All right, two more here, but we're really only all right, Philly and Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott for me, maybe some Amari Cooper. That's it. Anything else for you?
I don't have much. I think it's a great game. I'm sure you'll like to hear this. Not that I know what I'm talking about, but I think the Eagles win this game. I think they go into Dallas and win. I get it if you want to pay for Zeke or Amari. It was tough for me. There were guys at their positions, T.Y. and the big other running backs that I liked more. But that's about it. Golden Tate if I had to take an Eagle.
Yeah, 4,800. And in Arizona, Detroit, again, we apologize. We try and spend as much time on every game as possible, but it's tough, man. 13 games makes it tough. I don't have anything from Arizona, Detroit, although I think that David Johnson will be so vastly overlooked that he makes a little bit of sense.
Okay. I'm probably not going to get there with him, but I get it. Arizona defense is my favorite defense to punt with.
Great call. Mine too.
And last thing real quick, I think Golladay is going to draw Peterson, as most do. If you want to go to Bruce Ellington, it's a good floor, but I don't see a ton of upside.
Yep, you're right. And that's it on that game. That's it. Arizona defense is the best play from that game. And then Pittsburgh and Oakland, you have a 51-point total. The Steelers are 10.5-point favorites. Where are you at on Samuels? And where are you at on the rest of Pittsburgh? And we'll close it out, turn it over to the Live Before Lock boys.
Yeah, Jalen Samuels, it's going to be interesting. He's going to get the passing work. Now it seems like they say he's going to get the bulk of the carries. I think he's going to be the most popular of the punts. I'm playing him in cash. I'm going to sprinkle him in tournaments. Don't think I come in massively over or underweight. Other than that, obviously AB and Juju, no problem with either. Vance McDonald, if you want sneaky exposure to the Steelers, I did do that on some lineups.
All right. Thanks as always for watching, friends. Great luck today. If you enjoyed the show, hit us with a thumbs up. It helps us greatly. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you back here for week 15 on the game plan. Good luck today.